I believe that there's a lot of fictitious sales content out there, so let me actually give you some sales bits of advice. Today I'm going to be talking about paraverbals, and in particular I'm going to start with volume. The stereotypical snake oil selling salesperson is typically loud. They can also be boisterous and annoying. Not only are they loud in volume, but whenever they're getting their ideas across, they have to be the ones to have the last word. You know exactly what kind of a salesperson I'm talking about. This is because a lot of sales is knowing all the features of your product or service, and so a lot of salespeople become focused on features and are feature focused and want to communicate every single thing they know, which is actually counterintuitive and counterproductive. Going back to volume though, a person who knows their product or service and is confident in it has no reason to be loud or boisterous. In fact, the opposite is true. When you speak softly but with confidence, you force your prospect to actually listen to you very closely. Just by setting your limit to this type of volume will put you head and shoulders above salespeople who are using very loud and obnoxious sales techniques in their volume and who are very quick talkers and they don't pace themselves. For example, you could say, I have this great product for you, Mr. Prospect, and I know it's going to be very good for you and very beneficial, and let me list out exactly why. Or you could say, listen, Mr. Prospect, from what you've told me, sounds like XYZ would be a great benefit for you. And let me tell you exactly why I think it's actually the best thing for you right now. A little bit different. I know I'm being very vague, but you get the idea. Whenever you're trying to tell someone a secret, tell a friend a secret, tell someone something that's beneficial and you lower your voice, it adds more emphasis than if you raise your voice. And you're gonna be using different types of volume at different phases in the sales cycle. You might have a medium volume during your prospecting phase versus a toned down, kind of quieter, confident during your proposal or presentation or sales phase. But the quieter that you can be rather than loud and obnoxious will set a tone for your prospect in their mind that you are professional, you know what you're talking about, and you have no reason to overcompensate for what you know you're talking about. Keep in mind that there is a prospecting phase, there is a selling phase, there is a negotiating phase, and then finally there is a closing phase. So there's a lot of techniques within each phase that I'm going to be going over through these videos in the future, specifically talking about each phase. This is just overall, you need to know that your volume is very important, and confident people have a lower volume when actually delivering their presentations or trying to sell someone. So after controlling your volume during a sale, you need to focus on how often you are the one speaking during the sale. And like I said, there's a lot of phases, but typically the best salespeople out there are actually speaking the very least. The best salespeople will speak about 20% of the time, and their prospects will speak about 80% of the time. To summarize why this is done is because essentially you want the prospect to walk themselves down the sales cycle. You are essentially a guide down the sales cycle, and you want your prospect to see themselves walking themselves down the sales cycle and have it make sense to them. This is done by a combination of two things. First is asking intelligent questions. And all those questions are your typical who, what, when, where, why, how. If you're in the prospecting phase, you might say, who's the one that takes care of this? Who is the most impacted if such and such were to happen? What happens to X when Y happens? What happens to X when Y is ignored? Or when this happens, how do you feel? All these questions are tailored to keeping your prospect on the sales path during the sales cycle. But when you ask these questions, all these questions are open-ended questions that allows them to elaborate on how they feel, how they think, or what they're experiencing. You are not telling the story here, they are, and then you are guiding them down the path to your product or service. You want to ask them questions that they can elaborate on. So apart from asking intelligent questions, the second step to allowing them 80% of the time during the sale is to make an observation. You make an observation as a salesperson by saying, it looks like, it seems like, it sounds like. That is it. When you make an observation, you could say, it sounds like you really need help with XYZ. Pause, let them answer you. Don't follow up with an answer to yourself. That is the first way to shoot yourself in the foot. Say, it seems like you're really struggling with XYZ. Pause. Allow them to elaborate, give them the 80%, and they will start selling themselves in their head. Yeah, that is painful, or yes, we do struggle with this. Again, an observation will only work when you pause after making it. It seems like blank. it sounds like blank, it looks like blank. And trust me, the prospect will tell you if you are right or wrong. And if you are wrong, 9 times out of 10, they don't care. They will just correct you and tell you, no, actually, we aren't struggling with that, but we're struggling with this. Or no, we're actually not struggling with that anymore. It used to be a problem. Yada, yada, yada. You can see what was a pain point in the past. And if they do get mad at you, which 9 times out of 10 they don't when you're wrong, all you say is, it seems like my observation was wrong. Help me understand XYZ. If you correctly observe an emotional pain point of a prospect and you verbalize it to them, you need to allow them to feel that pain point, because it is going to give you so much ammunition during the entire process. Sometimes without even referring to it, it is just in their mind because you brought an observation to the table. Again, people will talk themselves into sales, and those are how some of the best sales are made, is when you step out of the way and you are allowing them that 80% of the time by either asking intelligent questions or making those 3 observation types. I'll end today's video with an example. For today, I had a gentleman who was having issues with coming to terms with the price of the service. And so I asked him point blank, after discussing for a little bit, I said, Mr. Prospect, how many additional services will you need to receive? So how many additional services will you need to receive in order to justify the amount that my service costs to you? Pause. Let him think about it. He knows the numbers, he knows the pains, he knows the emotions. It's all going through his head. And silence is your best friend, because that means they're thinking. They're not coming back at you with a quick rebuttal. They're not coming back with you with any kind of smokescreen or objection. They are thinking, and it is working. Silence means it is working when you ask an intelligent question. Long story short, he came to terms and said, oh, I only need 1 more customer. And I said, yes, that is the cost of the entire year, and you need 1 more customer. I said, I would be shocked if you were unable to secure 1 customer within a year of using our services. And I sold him right then and there. That's all I have for today. I appreciate the support that we have so far on the channel, and I'll continue to pump out videos as y'all need, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. And if you haven't seen where we started this, go ahead and watch the first video right here, and I'll catch you on the next one.